Hello, it is Keegan, and it is time for week number 1 of the WBG. We are playing against Ant, or ItzWhateva, in the first game, and I'm super excited for this one. If you are excited for today's VGC battle, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. My goal is 1,000 subscribers this year, so every subscription counts. I would really appreciate it if you could click that button. So let's talk about the matchup here. Ant's got a really good team with Iron Hands, Landorus Therian, Ursaluna Blood Moon, Latias, Oranguru, Ribombee, Sylveon, Shiftry, and Poltergeist. And looking at this matchup on the face, my team's going to struggle against a lot of what he has. That Iron Hands, Landorus, Ursaluna combo is super difficult for me to deal with. My Heatran, which I think is one of the best Pokemon on my team in this matchup, it does a good job of pressuring Iron Hands with Heat Wave. It does a good job pressuring Oranguru. Gets absolutely bodied by the Landorus and the Ursaluna without Terra. So that's going to be a difficult thing to be mindful of. As I said, his gameplay is probably going to be Oranguru and utilizing Trick Room to the fullest extent, and that's going to be abusing Ursaluna in this matchup. So let's take a look at the Pokemon that I brought to combat this matchup. As I said in the draft analysis, and as I'll reiterate here, I'm not the best VGC player by any means. I don't really, I'm learning on the fly as we go. So there'll be a few things that I might account for that you might not necessarily expect. But go with it, we're learning here, it's a learning process. So Flutter Mane, we're going Choice Specs this week, and the reason that we're using Choice Specs is primarily to maximize damage output against Pokemon like the Ursaluna Blood Moon, against the Iron Hands, and against the Oranguru, which I think are going to be 3 of his most important and crucial members in this team. The 172 speed is primarily to outspeed the Ribombee. That's where the speed tiers just kind of line up in this matchup. And then we have 108 defense to live 252 Adamant Heavy Slam from Iron Hands. And that's when we're going to be either in Terra Ghost form or if we have Aurora Veil up. So that's a really important calc that allows us to 2-hit KO most Iron Hands sets with Choice Specs and Moonblast in that scenario. So whether we're running the Snow build or whether we're just tearing our Flutter Mane, Flutter Mane has a lot of good options to Terra against in this matchup just to get rid of that Fairy typing, primarily against that Iron Hands. Next up, we have the Ninetales Alola. This is a very simple set. It's just got 228 speed to cover off the Landorus, and just a special attacker here, setting up Snow, and then just Blizzard, Moonblast, Icy Wind, just putting up as much spread damage as possible with the ice moves, a little bit of speed control with Icy Wind, which is not going to be super important, but there are ways that Ant could play this team with Sylveon, Latias, and Landorus that could result in him not playing to the Trick Room. So that's something that's worth just keeping on this Ninetales as well. Next up, we have Terra Bug Baxcalibur. I was getting joked with a little bit while playing this game about Terra Bug Baxcalibur, but the Terra Bug, really what it's there to do is if Landorus comes, it puts Landorus in a difficult position to force potentially tearing and attacking the Baxcalibur. It also does a good job of walling basically the entirety of Iron Hand's move pool for either not very effective or neutral. Obviously, you could have fire coverage, but I think that's probably unlikely into the Heatran team. So Swords Dance, Scale Shot, Icicle Spear, Stomping Tantrum, pretty much a basic set with loaded dice. It does have Ice Body because he doesn't have any fire types on his team, so not really much to consider on that side with Thermal Exchange. Fairy Heatran here, Life Orb. This is a very standard set. You're going to see a lot of the time in VGC. The 212 Modest Life Orb, actually 2-hit KOs, 252 HP, Assault Vest Iron Hands with Earth Power, assuming it is in the normal form without Terra. 12 speed is just for speed creep protection. There's nothing that this thing can really target and hit, but in cases where Trick Room is not up, just want a little bit of protection against scenarios that he might be creeping against my Heatran. And then Terra Fairy gives me access to Terra Blast as his powerful option versus the Iron Hands and the Latias if required in the endgame. The one thing I mentioned in the draft analysis is really good is one of the things I have in terms of my team as advantage with speed control is I have Rhyperior, which is one of the slowest Pokemon in the entirety of the game. And while Ant is a Trick Room team, this is actually the slowest Pokemon in the matchup. Protect, Rock Slide, Stomping Tantrum, Hammer Arm. Hammer Arm is here basically to hit that Ursaluna. The game plan, kind of considering if it comes in, is to just put a big attack on Ursaluna to put it in range of Hammer Arm, and then just to kill it there. And then Stone Plate, Terra Rock, or Terra Ground. Unfortunately, we have to go Terra Ground here just for some considerations against Iron Hands with Stomping Tantrum. But Stone Plate, Rock Slide can do a lot of damage if it's the first Pokemon to act in matchups. So hopefully we get to take advantage of that a little bit under Trick Room. And then we have Metacham here, Fake Out support. Withstand Headbutt, Close Combat, and Ice Punch. Not really much to consider here, just to fake out against threats like Iron Hands. Unfortunately, the Oranguru has an inner focus. Might be foreshadowing something a little bit in the future. But this is mainly here to have early fake out support if the matchup requires it. So that is the team. Let me know what you think of the team in the comments down below. Let me know what you would have done differently. And let's get right into the battle. It is battle time. This is the team Ant brought. He did not bring Lando, which is interesting. It kind of leads me to believe I think his plan is to lead Oranguru and the Ursaluna Blood Moon is probably what I would expect to lead. I think to lead against that specific combination, I want to lead... The Lando T not coming is actually really problematic for how I kind of wanted to approach this matchup. I think what I want to lead is... I definitely want to lead Flutter Mane, I think, in this specific scenario. Lead Rhyperior in the back, and then maybe the Heatran in the back. And then lead with the Alolan... Lead with the Medicham against that Ursaluna Blood Moon and have Heatran and Rhyperior in the back. I think that's kind of how I want to play this scenario. Have Fake Out to put pressure on that Ursaluna Blood Moon early. I have the Focus Sash on this Medicham to kind of enable that and then push damage and progress with my choice specs. Flutter Mane. So, game 1 time. Let's see if we can get this going. And it's Iron Hands and Oranguru. That's actually pretty good for me. So what's good about this scenario is I'm pretty much okay with... So what I really like about this situation is I can pretty much pressure... I can go for the Terra Ghost, and the reason I want a Terra Ghost is my set on this Flutter Mane is kind of designed to handle this specific situation. So I can go for the Terra Ghost immediately, and then go for the Fake Out on the... Oh, this could have inner focus. I really fucked this one up big time, actually. I forgot that at the last second. Oh no, this is pretty bad. I should have faked out the Iron Hands. I mean, I don't think at the end of the day this is going to be a nightmare situation for how I played it. He's going to go for the Terra as well. Probably Terra on the Oranguru, or he goes for Terra Ice on Iron Hands. So the Terra Ice is going to get him out of the kind of the super effective typing. Wow, and that is not inner focus. Wow, that's insane. And he goes for the fake out on my guy here, on my Medicham. That's perfectly fine. This Moonblast should still do a decent amount of damage. The special attack falls is not really relevant. And then he's going to set up the Trick Room here. Alright, so Trick Room is up. That's a little bit of a problem. The inner focus obviously was super obvious, and that's a pretty bad misplay on my part to just completely not even think about that. At this point, my what is it called? I'm living every hit. So what's nice about Trick Room is I can bring in Rhyperior after, and Rhyperior is going to outspeed everything under Trick Room. At this point, I think I do want to go for the Shadow Ball. I'm in choice specs. Yeah, I think I'm just going to continue. I'm going to Moonblast the Oranguru. I kind of want to target down. Yeah, I'm going to double target. I'm going to target the Oranguru and the Iron Hands here. I'm a little bit all over the place. He's going to protect with the Oranguru, which is really nice about, this spot, is he's probably going to, Heavy Slam here. And I'm EV to really... Wow, okay, so that's definitely a lot more offensive than I thought it was going to be. And I'm going to pick up the knockout with Medicham. Nice. So that's really good information early to pick up in that specific scenario that we can pick that off. So that's good damage that we learned on Iron Hands. So Iron Hands did a lot more than kind of was advertised. I'm gonna have to look at the calcs a little bit more after this. But getting Iron Hands out of the way early is pretty big. So that was 75% Heavy Slam on Flutter Mane. So a little bit more than I expected. That turn works out pretty well. And in comes this guy. So this guy is a fucking problem. This guy is going to outspeed and do a lot of damage. Now, I think at this point, I kind of have to sack off my... my Flutter Mane. There's not really much more I can do with this Pokemon. He did his job. I'm probably just going to target into the Ursaluna and then go for the close combat. I'm probably going to have to take a lot of damage here. I'm probably going to lose both of my Pokemon here if I'm going to be perfectly honest. I think it's difficult to see a scenario where I don't lose both of my Pokemon. He's going to Brick Break here, activate the weakness policy, which is really, really not good. But I'm going to lose a Pokemon here and be able to bring out my Rhyperior, which is really crucial in this spot. The Hyper Voice so he does have the spread move here to deal with that. So I am going to bring in my Heatran and my Rhyperior. Now Rhyperior, as I said, does have that ability to kind of double target, to kind of outspeed and deal a lot of damage here. So we're going to have to kind of rely on that, this Rhyperior to do a little bit of damage. So this first game didn't go entirely as I was hoping for, unfortunately, but Rhyperior in the back is going to be able to outspeed everything. At this point, I don't think I can necessarily play around Protects on my side. I could go for the Heat Wave here. I think it's pretty likely that I get outsped here. Let me check the status. How many Trick Room turns are left? So we have 2 Trick Room turns. So the question here is how I want to play around this. So his weakness policy, does he target the Heatran now? I think, how do I win this game? I think if I Heat Wave this, and if I Rock Slide early, if I Rock Slide this turn and get a flinch, especially on this Ursaluna, then I think I'm in a great position. I really need to pick up a burn, and it's going to Instruct. Okay. I've not seen this tech before. And that's going to deal not that much damage, actually. Blood Moon. I am so confused as to what just happened right there. Learning VGC in real time. I should be able to at least pick up a little bit of damage on this Heat Wave. Wow. If I can get some burns here, that would be really, really nice. What's really interesting, so I get to Protect here in this spot. I mean, I'm just going to Protect here. There's not much else I have to do about this play. I don't think there's a way that he can break through Protect. And I should be able to get a Heat Wave off afterwards. So he probably switches here. I mean, there's no way I don't Protect here. Like, I don't really have another option available to me, because he can freely Earth Power my guy. Okay, so the Trick Room is going to reverse, and he does have Vacuum Wave. Okay, so that is kind of annoying, and he is going to Instruct. So, okay, so this Instruct basically gets him to use a second move. This is essentially what happens here. So it basically just gives him to use a random move, which is interesting. So I don't have a great perspective on whether I live this. I probably don't. I mean, I have the Heat Wave here anyway. It doesn't change my play. I'm going to try to play to the one out that I potentially have in this scenario. I actually do live. Wow, that's actually massive. And I actually pick up the double knockout here. Though depending on what the last Pokemon is, I might not actually be able to win this. So this game was a little bit more closer than it kind of felt like throughout the rest of the game. And I'm done a Dial Life Orb here, unfortunately. So we do lose the first game of the set. We learned some interesting things here. So I think I kind of made a pretty critical mistake with the obviously the fake out on the Medicham just was like a non-starter. Just obviously, you know, just a lack of focus play on that part. But I think our team is actually kind of decent and set up to play into the Trick Room pretty decently. I kind of do feel like we have a good opportunity to play against his Trick Room options. So we know what his lead was last time. Let's see what he wants to lead with this time. Let's think about how we prepare against how Ant led last time. So we didn't bring the Sun Core. I think we kind of do want to set up, not the Sun Core, the Snow Core. I think we do want to go with Sun this time. So because it's Terra Ice, I think Heatran is going to be actually really, really good to start off with in this specific spot. We can Terra Fairy, and I can actually, I kind of want to lead off with my Ninetales in this spot, and then in the back I'm going to have the Flutter Mane. I think I'm going to actually put Medicham in the back, maybe leave Flutter Mane behind. We could also go for, because I can't really use the loaded dice max caliber in this scenario. It's not really going to function how I want. Trick Room is getting up either way. Question is how do I best want to play around it? The Heatran was just like super effective in that game. Actually, I think what I want to do is run Metacham Heatran, and then in the back I can do Flutter Mane plus Rhyperior, and I think that's like a good micro adjustment here in this spot. That's going to lead a little bit better at what he's doing. If I fake out of the Iron Hands, I think it was in a much better spot in that game, or at least if I just attacked the Iron Hands. So we know now that that Pokemon is doing, actually that's about the damage that we calc, so that's probably Adamant Assault Vest-ish. That's kind of what we were expecting. Alright, so kind of the exact same lead. We lead off Heatran here. Question now is how does Ant want to play this? I think I'm certainly Heat Waving. I'm not really going to do... So I'm definitely Heat Waving, and I'm definitely just going to fake out the Iron Hands and let Trick Room get up here. Just prevent, him having to use my Terra early on Heatran here. No real reason to do that. So it's likely in the back still we're going to have that Ursaluna still trying to cause problems. This also gives me good damage on Oranguru. That was a problem. The fact that he was able to use Instruct and deal a lot of damage was certainly problematic. And we're going to get a Fake Out off on Iron Hands, which is crucial. So that Pokemon's not going to be able to move. We are going to get a Heat Wave miss here on the Oranguru, which is kind of frustrating. Would have not liked to see that. And then the Trick Room gets up here. So we do, with this combination, have a little bit more ability to play around the Trick Room. We are going to be able to actually waste a few more of these turns. I'm just going to go for the Protect here, make sure we get that Protect off. And then I can go for... He's definitely not Terra Icing here. I think that would be not the wisest play. I think he's probably going to predict me. He's probably going to attack into the Metacham slot, if I had to guess. If I had to guess, he's going into the Metacham slot here, so I'm just going to Heat Wave. I'm just going to Heat Wave again, and I'm going to Zen Headbutt the Iron Hands. And just like really put pressure on that Iron Hand slot. So we see the Protect out here. I should be able to live basically any hit from this type of set. He goes for the Heavy Slam on my Metacham. That's perfectly fine. We're going to hit the Protect here. I always get concerned that that's going to be the miss animation. But we get a Heat Wave off here, which is big. And a Zen Headbutt here should pick up the kill against Iron Hand. So Metacham's actually putting in the finest of work right now. And if he brings out Ursaluna Blood Moon, he's in a little bit of a pickle in how he wants to play this. And that I can kind of stall out enough turns to kind of figure this out. So the Brick Break is certainly coming, and I kind of expect the Hyper Voice to come out. So I kind of just have like the same play here that I did in the previous situation. I just, Heat Wave. And then at this point, I just go for the close combat. I'm pretty much, at this point, committed to losing my Metacham here. And I think I have to be perfectly okay with that in this spot, just to play around the scenario that we're going for here. Because, it's pretty highly likely that he's going for the Hyper Voice, because he has to kill the Metacham that's in front of him right now. And then I'm definitely going to be able to live this with my Heatran. Yeah, Heatran perfectly fine. Now we really need to get... Oh my god, he crit my Metacham. How could he do such a thing? I should be able to get... If I hit both of this, I should be able to do a lot of damage. Perfect. And that is good damage. A burn. Wow, that's huge. That burn's actually really massive. And I'm pretty sure that this Pokemon is definitely now in range of Hammer Arm for my Rhyperior. So I'm definitely going to want to come in on Hammer Arm that Pokemon. We're looking to be in like actually a really good spot right now in this game 2. This game 2 actually worked out like perfect in terms of, kind of adjusting on the fly and being this counterplay. Question here now is, do I have like a more... Beating the Oranguru is not really a problem. Thing is, he's gonna Vacuum Wave and the Instruct is gonna come out. So I think I'm just gonna Protect on the Heatran and not Stomping Tantrum, and Hammer Arm this, and just pick up the kill. So this play here gives me the best chance of ending up with both of my Pokemon at the end, which I don't necessarily need, but it would be a nice thing to have. He's going to vacuum him this, which I should be able to live, yeah, and then I should be able to pick up the Hammer Arm kill on the Ursaluna, so Ursaluna's down, and that was probably an Instruct, and I get the Speed Fall, which I mean is not relevant. Rhyperior is the slowest Pokemon in this matchup, and he's going to go for the Trick Room again to change the dimensions back. So he probably has something fast in the back, but I do have Flutter Mane still to manage that. It's probably going to be... It's Sylveon, okay. Well, one of the frustrating parts and aspects of this situation is I don't have... do not have Flash Cannon on this Pokemon. We're going to really have to rely on Choice Specs. Choice Specs Flutter Mane to pull this one out the bag. Here, I think we just, I mean, the play is kind of simple. I'm just going to Heat Wave and Rock Slide. The dimensions are normal right now, so I kind of have to, I'm kind of playing to this. I can Dazzling Gleam. I'm just going to Rock Slide. I'm just going to use 2 double target moves and see what happens here. I'm expecting the Sylveon to be fast. The Sylveon here is going to be the Terra Water, which is actually perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. That's going to probably just be used to attempt to double target this scenario with Instruct. I should be able to outspeed. Yeah, he's just going to Hyper Voice. Yeah, so the Hyper Voice is going to kill out my guy here, my Rhyperior, but I should be able at least to get a Heat Wave off, which should basically bring out the rest of the damage I need in that Oranguru. And this Instruct, hopefully we roll something bad. I don't know what this can roll. I think it maybe just attack. Oh my god, I live. Wow, living is actually massive here in this spot. I mean, I'm just gonna go into this Pokemon. That's my Flutter Mane here. We'll see if we can pull this one out the bag. I hope so. I really hope so. I don't know what the calc is on Sylveon here. So I'm not gonna die. The problem is I'm not doing nearly enough damage. I can't Shadow Ball. I'm not doing enough damage. I have the Moonblast here. So I'm just going to Heat Wave. And then I'm going to Terra. I'm going to Terra Moonblast. I probably shouldn't lock myself in the Moonblast. I probably should have locked myself into Dazzling Gleam there. But I think, I mean, this gives me the most chance to win this game. Is as long as Flutter Mane lives 2 of these Hyper Voices, which looking at this calc is probably a decent chance that it will, then I should be fine. And the fact that he protected here is massive, so I don't have to take 2 hits with my Flutter Mane. And this should put me in a position to win the game. Yeah, and I do live that perfectly. So, I mean, I do have to potentially live a hit from the Oranguru. He's got Protect, Instruct, Trick Room, and Brick Bake. So actually, I think I win this game. Yeah, with Choice Specs... Choice Specs Flutter Mane is actually going to pull this one out here because he doesn't have a move to hit with the... Oh, but he can Trick Room. No. Oh. Ah, the Trick Room. That's actually true. I forgot this. I should have thought about that. That's actually a really good play. Yeah, I guess it was kind of a 50-50. There's not much I could really do to play around that. I wasn't even thinking about that. That's a good play by Ant on his part. Not really much I can do to play around that one, unfortunately. Kind of a 50-50. Maybe I should have just targeted the Oranguru. But, you know, this is really well played by Ant. I think, you know, his team has a little bit more about it in terms of like some of these VGC tactics, and I think the Oranguru Ursaluna Blood Moon combo was really, really efficient in this game. I'm curious what he's thinking about here, what he's trying to play around. Yeah, I guess if I target the Oranguru, then I play around that specific instance. Problem is I know I'm not living from Sylveon. He's just going to Protect again. I mean, that's perfectly fine. He's just trying to play optimally here. And that Terra Blast is going to basically kill me. I don't think there's any way I live this. There's no way, right? There's no way I lived on 1 HP. Bruh. What? I lived on 1 HP. I gotta see the calcs on this. That's crazy. There's no way I win this game, right? Wow. That was... oh my goodness. 1 HP and a dream to save game 2. of the set against Ant. Wow, I was just dapping Ant up for playing super well. I think he's still playing super well. But damn, that was a good game. And we pulled back. All right, we're still in it. Game 3 coming up here. We're going to have to readjust because this worked, but barely. We barely got through that one, unfortunately. And we kind of got to go back to the drawing board a little bit to see how we want to prepare for Game 3. Let's think about this one a little bit. So the Oranguru is kind of the main problem in this matchup right now is the Oranguru being on the field with the Ursaluna. So I think the goal of our turn 1 should be to double target the Oranguru, to target the Oranguru. Oh, of course we communicated failure. Well, let me pick my team. Thank you. Thank you. So the game plan here has to be the double target the Oranguru. I think that's like the most efficient way to do it. I think actually the way I want to do that is to lead Flutter Mane and Baxcalibur, and then to backline the Heatran and the Rhyperior. And the reason I want to do that is I can Terra the Baxcalibur into a bug type to prevent the... So he could fake out... So here's the thing. If he brings down an Iron Hands again, he fakes out on the Baxcalibur. I Moonblast target the Oranguru while Icicle Spearing that, and then I can target the Iron Hands after. And I think this is my best way to actually pressure this scenario, is to use Baxcalibur and loaded dice to put a lot of physical pressure on that Oranguru. That's my best chance. And to hope there's like a position where he decides to not lead with the Iron Hands, not lead out with fake out support. He leads with Sylveon, okay. That's actually a little bit unfortunate. I think I'm going to end up in the same result. I mean, this Sylveon has Follow Me, right? So we know it has Hyper Voice, Protect, Terra Blast. It does not have Follow Me. So we know it's Terra Water. Is there any reason that I don't just double target? So I Moonblast in, and I Terra Bug, and I Icicle Spear that Pokemon. When I Icicle Spear, yeah, I'm just going to Icicle Spear this, and just try to put as much damage on this Pokemon as possible, and try to prevent that Pokemon, that Oranguru, from being on the field with the Ursaluna. Alright, let's see how this turn plays out. So I do get to actually attack off, and I hopefully have a good chance. The special attack drop, not really relevant to that Pokemon. Icicle Spear with the loaded dice. Ooh, that's looking close. With the loaded dice, I think that should pick up the kill. And we think we do prevent the Trick Room this turn, which is super, super huge. So Oranguru can't be on the field now with the Ursaluna Blood Moon. That is massive. Massive for this game. And, I mean, that's going to do a lot of damage, but with Trick Room not up, he's going to have a little bit of a difficult time now playing around this. Now, that does mean my... What's it called? Yeah, out comes this guy. Now, I do have to really, really be mindful of this specific scenario. So he can, like, just as easily protect... He can probably attack... So I probably should have done a little bit better job of writing down some of the information on that Pokemon. I think my best case scenario is I still have to double target. Still my plan is, I think, to attack the... so we can Terra Water. Yeah, the Terra Water is actually kind of crucial in this spot. So I think what I actually want to do is Moonblast down this and Scale Shot this. I don't want to activate the... Yeah, he's going to do that. Okay. So that's perfectly fine. I get the Moonblast off on the right target, which is the most important part of this turn. And that's going to do a lot of damage. The special attack drop is potentially massive here. And then the Scale Shot. Put into that target, we obviously don't want to activate its... what's it called? We don't want to activate its... Yeah, and I get to live both here. We don't want to activate its weakness policy if we don't have to. And now I'm going to be able to pick off this There's a decent chance. I think he's going to protect here. I need to put the damage now. I think in this case where I know that I'm faster than the Ursaluna, and I know that's protected, and I have a decent, two decent options, I think, to potentially deal with this Sylveon in the back. The problem is Hyper Voice. Thing is, Hyper Voice, it can't be, is fairy type, so that's his only dual target move. So I'm just gonna, I think I'm just gonna kill the Ursaluna and just get that off my screen as quickly as possible. I think there's a decent chance he protects here. Yeah, nice. That's actually perfect. The fact that we got that protect right and we get a double target here is massive. The Vacuum Wave, wow, we live the Vacuum Wave too, which is huge. So we should hopefully pick up a knockout here. We are going to pick up the knockout on Ursaluna Blood Moon, and this game is just going perfectly. The adjustment of Flutter Mane into Max Caliber, Terra Bug, really coming through here in this spot, and we still have Heatran in the back, which does a good job of managing the Sylveon, and out comes Dude. This is the Iron Hand, so he is going to have Fake Out support here, which will be good for him. No, why did this? Oh, of course this happens. Alright, we're back on Showdown. That's just really unfortunate that, that happened there. In this spot, so we're at the spot now where we have Iron Hands here and we have Sylveon. Fake Out can realistically come onto this. I think my one play here, he hasn't Terra'd yet. So Terra on Iron Hands is pretty reasonable to have happening here. I did Terra here, so I think what I want to do actually is attack the Sylveon, which is kind of I would say kind of unintuitive in this spot, and the reason I want to do that is Rhyperior Heatran. This thing can't double target me, and I have Earth Power. I have a lot of moves that can do a lot here, so I think I want to Moonblast the Sylveon and get rid of the Sylveon, because what I want to do is leave this into a single slot scenario, and Sylveon just protected, so I know I can guarantee the knockout on this, even if he does kill this. Because he's going to actually what he's going to do is he's going to Fake Out and have to kill this while I get to Moonblast here. So I'm going to Moonblast the Sylveon, and I'm just going to Stomping Tantrum the Iron Hands. He's going to become Ice. Yep, Fake Out, perfect. I attack the Sylveon, and then I leave into a one. Yeah, this kind of scenario here is what we're playing for. I can just go into Heatran. Here, I can just go for the Moonblast. I guess I just go for Heat Wave. Do I just go for a non-missing move? And then I get the Heat Wave off, and we get the win. So there we go. We figured it out. We got a little bit lucky at the end there to win week 1, honestly, in terms of this week. Obviously, that special attack drop is just so massive in terms of the outcome of the game, allowing both of my Pokemon to live. I think we played to the best of our abilities there and kind of adapting to what Ant was doing. But overall, I think, very fortunate to get that turn at the end in the middle of that game. So good game, I guess, to Ant. Unfortunately, it didn't play out how he was probably hoping for. I'll take a win. The first Draft League game of 2024 ends up being a win for me in a format I'm not super comfortable with. So very happy with that. Next week, I think we play against a Bread Pudding, a VGC player. So definitely not feeling good about that one. But I'll see you guys next time. And as always, have a wonderful day.